There is a model of memory so deeply embedded in how you think that you probably don't notice it operating. You experience something. The brain records it. Later, you retrieve it. Input. Storage. Output. It's clean. It's logical. It maps perfectly onto every filing system, every camera, every hard drive you've ever used. It's also not what the brain does. Not even close. When neuroscientists began mapping how memories form, they expected to find something like a location, a region, a place where a specific memory lived. If you remembered your first day of school, there should be, somewhere, a cluster of cells holding that moment. They didn't find it. What they found instead was distribution. A single memory isn't stored in one place. It's scattered across regions responsible for emotion, sensation, language, spatial awareness. It doesn't sit anywhere. It exists as a pattern of connections between cells that fire together during the original experience. There is no file. There is only a fragile web of relationships between neurons. And those relationships are not static. They shift. They weaken. They get overwritten by everything that happens afterward. The moment you think you're retrieving a memory, you are not opening a saved document. You are reconstructing it. From fragments. Right now. In real time. And what gets reconstructed depends entirely on what tools you currently have available. Close your eyes and try to remember a specific moment. A meal. A conversation. A room you haven't been in for years. Notice what happens. You don't press play. You don't watch a recording. You reach, and pieces come back. A smell. A feeling. A fragment of a face. And your brain, almost instantly, fills the rest in. That filling in is not retrieval. That filling in is construction. What neuroscience has established, quietly, without much public attention, is that remembering is an active process. Your brain takes the fragments that survived, combines them with everything it currently knows, everything it currently feels, everything it currently believes, and assembles something that feels like a memory. It feels complete. It feels accurate. It feels like the past. It is a present tense creation wearing the costume of the past. And here is what makes this uncomfortable. The reconstruction is not neutral. Who you are right now, your current mood, your current beliefs, your current understanding of that relationship or that event, shapes what gets built. Two people can share the same experience and reconstruct it into something almost unrecognizable to each other. Not because one of them is lying. Because reconstruction is not reproduction. The past you think you're accessing is always being interpreted through the present you. There is no unfiltered version. There never was. There is something worse than memory being a reconstruction. It's this: every time you reconstruct it, you change it. This is not a poetic metaphor. This is a neurological process called reconsolidation. And what it means is deeply unsettling. When a memory is recalled, it doesn't simply play and then return to storage unchanged. It becomes temporarily unstable. The connections that hold it together loosen. The memory enters a fragile, malleable state. And then, as it settles back, it incorporates whatever was present during the recall. Your current emotion. Your current interpretation. The conversation you just had about it. All of it bleeds in. So the memory that returns to storage is not the same memory that was retrieved. It has been quietly, invisibly edited. And the next time you recall it, you are recalling the edited version. Not the original. There is no original. Think about a memory you have revisited many times. A significant one. One you have told as a story, replayed in your mind, returned to again and again. That memory has been rewritten every single time you touched it. What you are most certain about is what has been most edited. The memories that feel most vivid, most solid, most undeniable, those are the ones that have passed through reconstruction the most times. Confidence in a memory is not evidence of its accuracy. It is evidence of how often it has been rebuilt. When you lose a memory, there is a particular kind of grief that comes with it. The feeling that something whole has been destroyed. That a complete, perfect record existed, and now it doesn't. That the moment was there, preserved, and then something took it. That grief is real. The model behind it is not. Because what forgetting actually destroys is not a perfect original. There was no perfect original. What existed was a reconstruction, already partial, already shaped by the moment it first formed, already colored by the emotions present during encoding, already missing details that never made it in. The moment itself was never fully captured. Not because memory is faulty, but because that is what memory is. So when forgetting happens, when the fragments scatter too far, when the connections weaken past the point of reassembly, what fails is not retrieval of something whole. What fails is the ability to reconstruct something that was always incomplete. And this does not make the loss smaller. It makes it stranger. You are not mourning a photograph that got destroyed. You are mourning a sketch. One that was redrawn every time you looked at it. One that was already an interpretation, already a version, already yours in a way that had nothing to do with accuracy. What's gone is not the truth of what happened. What's gone is your particular, constructed, endlessly edited relationship with it. That is not nothing. That is almost everything. Here's where the ground shifts. If memory is not storage but construction. If every recall is a rewrite. If forgetting is not deletion but failed reassembly. Then what is the self that claims to have memories? You experience yourself as continuous. The person reading this is the same person who woke up this morning, the same person who existed 10 years ago. There is a thread. A through line. Something that persists. That feeling is real. But what is it made of? It is made of memory. Specifically, it is made of the story you continuously tell yourself about who you are, assembled from reconstructed fragments, edited on every recall, shaped by who you are now more than who you were then. The self is not the owner of memories. The self is the product of them. And not just any memories. A selected, reconstructed, continuously revised narrative that your brain maintains with remarkable commitment, because without it, there is no stable platform from which to make decisions, form relationships, or move through time. The story needs to feel coherent. So the brain makes it coherent. It fills gaps. It smooths contradictions. It quietly edits out the versions of you that don't fit the current chapter. This is not dishonesty. This is how identity functions. But it means the continuous you, the one you feel so certain about, is not discovered. It is authored. Revised constantly. Without your awareness. Without your permission. You are not reading your own story. You are writing it. Backwards. In the dark. So now you know what a memory actually is. Not a record. Not a file. Not a preserved moment waiting in the dark for you to return to it. A construction. Assembled from fragments. Rewritten on every recall. Already partial from the moment it formed. And yet, when something is gone, truly gone, past the threshold of reconstruction, the loss does not feel philosophical. It feels like amputation. There is a specific kind of absence that comes with a lost memory. Not the absence of information. The absence of a version of yourself that only existed inside that memory. The you that was 7 years old at that table. The you that felt exactly that feeling in exactly that moment. The you that no one else witnessed and no record preserved. That version is gone. Not because a file was deleted, but because the only thing that ever held it together, that fragile, shifting, imperfect web of reconstructed connections, has finally come apart. And here is what physics, in its honesty, would say about that. There is no recovery. Not because the technology doesn't exist, but because the original was never fixed. What you lost was a living process, not a static object. And living processes, once stopped, do not restart into the same state. The river doesn't flow backwards. What's gone is not the truth of what happened. The truth of what happened exists nowhere, not in your brain, not in anyone else's, not in any recoverable form. What's gone is your relationship with it. Constructed, imperfect, endlessly revised, and completely irreplaceable. Because no reconstruction that comes after will be built by the same person, from the same fragments, in the same moment. You will never be exactly who you were when you last held it. And that is not a malfunction. That is what it means to exist in time.